Thanks, Michael. And 5 weeks on from the day Galway became Leinster champions for the first time, then as now the goalkeeper is 26-year-old James Skehill from Cabatackle. His full back line has plenty of experience, however. The number 3, Kevin Hines, is relatively new to this particular role. The half line contains 2 men in their early 20s, Niall Donoghue and Johnny Cohen. Birthday boy Irlatanian's switch to midfield has worked well so far for Galway, with the industrious Andy Smith there alongside him. Cyril Donnellan's arm, as you've been hearing, is still giving slight cause for concern, and he's been replaced in the starting lineup in the forwards by James Regan. The danger men in the inside forward line are pretty obvious: the brilliant Joe Canning and the experienced Damien Hayes. Alongside me I've got Donal O'Grady. Where's your attention focused, Donal?
Well, I've been particularly taken, I think, with centre-back Tony O'Gregan. I think he's been excellent this year and last year. He's in form, and he's the linchpin of the Galway defence, and he's benefiting maybe from the support he gets from Damien Hayes playing in front of him, but he has had an exceptional year, and they need him to play very, very well and hold the defence together.
Well, only 6 members of Cork's starting 15 began the county's last All-Ireland semi-final, which was 2 years ago. Anthony Nash has been drafted into goal for the now recovering Donal O'Cusack. Brian Murphy is the only full backline player starting today who played against Kilkenny in August 2010. Shane O'Neill was a notable absentee. Owen Cadigan was full back that day. He's now the one getting most experience of playing at centre half back, with Sean O'Halpine to his left. Lorcan McLaughlin gets called up here to play in midfield in partnership with Patrick Cronin, or Pa, as he's best known in hurling circles. Connolly Hahn, who was indisposed a fortnight ago and missed the Waterford match, is back at right half forward, and the full forward line remains intact. Between them they've scored 17 goals and 146 points, with skipper Patrick Horgan on 895. Donal, your thoughts?
Yeah, well, I focus in on Owen Cadigan starting at number 6 centre back, such an important position, and there've been question marks over his form because every second week he's been involved with football and hurling, and I think he really needs to have a huge game today and hold the middle. It's such a big challenge, but holding the middle today is so important.
Well, the Douglas man will be number 6, just a matter of minutes away now for the first Croke Park meeting of these counties since the All-Ireland final, Michael, of 2005.
It is, Gerard. Thanks for that, Eddie Brennan. Against Kilkenny, that Galway forward division was firing on all cylinders. Cyril Donnellan now out of that setup. We talked about that already. So a little bit more maybe pressure on the other lads to sort of keep up that level of intensity. David Burke, great game the last day.
Yeah, super player. What struck me about David Burke was a couple of years ago, Tipperary annihilated Galway in a 21 All Ireland. He was the one player that put his shoulder to the wheel right to the very end, and for a young lad, I think he was only about 19 at the time, it's leadership from a young lad like him, and I think he has provided that all year for Galway. He's hit 4-4 from play. He seems to be getting a new lease of life from his freedom to go up and play in the half forward line. They unleashed him against Dublin this year. He has been midfield up to now and would have been seen as the future of Galway hurling at midfield. But I think he has really, really thrived since he's gone to wing forward, and today they need a big match out of him today. Himself and Cyril had been doing a lot of damage, so I suppose he's going to have to carry the can today.
Let's talk about the number 10 on the other side, Liam. Conor Lehane for Cork. As Ger said, they missed out the last day.
Yeah, he's a very exciting prospect. I mean, he really blasted onto the scene this year. I think, he scored 1 goal and 20 points in the National League campaign. If there was an All-Star League team, Conor Lehane would have been on it hands down. Probably hasn't reached the same heights in Championship, but for a young fella doing his leaving cert this year, it's not easy to just straight away come out, finish up in an exam room and come straight out and play in a Munster Championship match. So it hasn't been easy. But he's got 7 points in play. This guy, when he was here against Dublin in the league, he scored 5 points in play. He's capable of doing something similar today. So I'm really looking forward to seeing Conor Lehane out in the pitch today.
We have the unusual situation of one team in the parade down the pitch here in Croke Park, that is Galway. Cork are still discussing last minute tactics and a few things. They've come and joined us now. That's very good. Ger, sum this up for me. Who's going to win?
Well, you see, the crucial line here for Cork today is going to be the half forward line. All of them were taken off the last day. One midfielder and that centre back. So the big failure on Cork the last day was not winning their own puck-outs. A good sign for Cork today. If you see them winning their own puck-outs and running at that Cork defence or their Galway defence earlier on, that will give a good point on how the game is going to go. Now, Cork on the other side, they're going to put huge pressure on the Galway full back line. They're going to let that ball in as fast as they could, because there are questions about that. The full back line, it wasn't tested the last day. So those are the 2 areas to really, really watch. But overall, I think that the Galway, with the game plan they have now, and with the spirit they built up from the last day, I don't think there's any danger of a flop today. I think
Eddie, people in Kilkenny know what Galway were like the last day.
Yeah,
They're wondering.
I think
They're probably hoping that was real.
Well, this is it. But look, I think they've gone at lengths. I think Anthony Cunningham, that has been the big thing, and you see them after the Leinster final. They circled around. You know, he told them, look, it's a cup. It's not the All Ireland. Move on, the next thing. And Galway seem to be really out to dispel that theory of being one-hit wonders. And I think today is a great opportunity for them to build on that.
Liam.
Yeah, I think it's, the difference today is it's knockout. I think for Galway the last day against Kilkenny, they could say, right, let's go up to Croke Park and let's have a real go here, because at the end of the day we're in an All-Ireland quarter final. Today, no second chance. This is it now. This is last chance. But I would feel that a good start, I think, would be important for Galway if they come in the same rich vein of form as they were here the last day. Cork, I think, will be anxious to say, like, Cork led them 1-7 to 2 points in the league. They'd love to get a start like that today, but and everything we've seen so far, Cork will need to play at a level that they haven't played to so far this year, I think, to be victorious. So at the moment, Galway are in pole position, but really looking forward to the game.
Well, there's one thing for sure, it's all in the melting pot now. Let's see how it works out. It's back to the commentary box to rejoin Donal O'Grady and first Ger Canning.
Well, Michael, the atmosphere, as you can gather, is certainly building the whole time. It's a little bit breezy at Croke Park, but it's Galway back here 5 weeks after they had that wonderful performance. That first half performance in particular against Kilkenny was arguably the most complete hurling masterclass given by the men in maroon shirts for a very, very long time. And it's going to be Galway who will play from right to left, it appears, in the first half. General consensus is that Galway will have too much power for a Cork team still at the construction stage, and for whom the season has already been successful by reaching these All-Ireland semi-finals, and of course playing in the league final as well. But as you heard Jamie Barry Murphy there saying when he spoke with Joanne, well, they're not going to just regard getting to the semi-final of the championship as a success in itself. They want more. Well, lots and lots of questions to be asked. Cork started the year so brightly, struggled in the league final, played well for long stretches against Tipperary, and then won while underperforming in their last 3 matches. This Galway team, well, they staved off relegation, scored well against Offaly while also conceding 3-15, and then, as we know, blew Kilkenny out of the water, to use the phrase there of Luke O'Farrell in his interview before the start of this match. It's a wonderful atmosphere which is developing, and lots and lots of people still on their way in here. Anthony Cunningham has done some job, managed Gary Castle to the All-Ireland Club final, then came and took over the Maroon men, the men from Galway, and has given them renewed hope and renewed heart, I think. Now, before the match gets underway, there's going to be a minute's silence, and very appropriately a minute's silence today being observed for the late Bill Barry. Bill was Prix of Moir here in Croke Park. He died very suddenly last weekend. He was always the essence of efficiency, thoroughly courteous, and the very embodiment, I think, of volunteerism within the GAA for the past 36 years. His loss is enormous. Such a nice man, always great to meet, and sadly his son predeceased him only about 2 months ago. So our deepest sympathy go to his wife Lorraine, his daughter Carla, and the extended family. Yeshlov Day, Gorev Anamuaso.
He was eagerly forward to seeing his beloved Cork partners playing this afternoon. It was not to be, however, and Bill has gone to his reward just 8 weeks after his 28-year-old son David succumbed to leukemia. Bill Barry was the quintessential volunteer. He was part of the voluntary stewards team here in the stadium for 36 years. And you can read a tribute to him on page 14 of today's match programme. Bill will be greatly missed by his family, especially his wife Lorraine and daughter Carla. He will be missed by his many friends and by his colleagues on the voluntary stewards team here in Croke Park, having worked with us since 1976. Solas Vlahas, Era Anam Uso.
Goal set. The referee is Brian Gavin from Offaly. Can Galway maintain their impressive progress and reach the 2012 All-Ireland final, or will Cork, so often their nemesis in Croke Park, put together a winning performance after a summer of some promise? Match gets underway, and it's Cork who are playing from right to left in the first half, even though Galway won the toss. And Galway go into the first attack here with David Burke, looking for the opening point, but that one has gone away to the left-hand side, as you can see. Just about kept in there by Niall Burke, being challenged over there by Tom Kenny. Niall Burke from Oranmore Mari getting back in here, but he's given it away towards a Cork defender who lost it. Damian Hayes is in quickly, and that's hammered over the bar. First blood to Galway. Donald O'Grady.
Well, Cork had a chance to deal with that. A good cross ball, but Brian Murphy was forced to it. Missed it, miscontrolled it, and Damien Hayes and straight over the bar. But Cork with a little slack from the throw-in. Nobody failed to pick up Joe Canning, and he started that movement from midfield.
Galway's half-backs, it's Niall Donoghue there being helped out. Coming into it is Fergal Moore on his hands and knees in there, the number 4. And the referee Brian Gavin says foul committed by Galway. Free in for Cork. He didn't get up off the ball quickly enough, he's saying. And it gives Cork an opportunity then to draw level almost immediately. This is what happened.
Well, I thought that he was fouled coming out by Patrick Horgan, who just left his leg in a little bit, and Cork fortunate to get that free, but difficult one to start for Patrick Horgan down by Hill 16. Difficult to control the wind.
135 this year in the championship. He's made absolutely certain with that one, straight over the bar. First point, teams level. Well, as I was saying, Donald, Galway won the toss and they've opted to play from left to right in the first half. Now Cork seemed to have the breeze. Would you think that was a wise decision?
Well, I think Galway wanted to start against the breeze, keep it tight, make sure Cork didn't get into it, and think bit by bit then maybe impose their game on Cork. Damien Hayes is walking out around the middle, towards the right more so than the centre, and we'll give you the changes as we think the game goes on.
This one should be Stephen McDonald's, but isn't, and instead it's James Regan. Left it behind there, McDonald has it, tries to get away, and the referee indicts the Galway forward line for fouling him as he's on his way out, and there's a little bit of afters immediately after that. It's going to be a free to Cork. This was Regan. Ball stolen away from him. In came the shoulder then from David Burke.
Yeah, lovely little flick there from Lachlan McLaughlin, who gets back very well, is good, very good defensively, and again Cork's first touch in the back line a little bit off. Steve McDonald had a chance to control it, miscontrolled it, and gave Galway possession.
Anthony Nash, who hits the ball, a fair old wallop down there onto the 20-metre line. Coughlin comes onto it, and Jamie Coughlin puts it over the bar. His first point. Well, they would call it Colin in Cork City, but he's up around North Cork, Newtown, Shandram. So Coughlin up there, and 2 points to 1 Cork lead. Yeah,
it's a very clever player, Ger, and very quick onto it, and ran away there from Niall Donoghue. Good pace and a nice point. And Cork will be very pleased with the start. 2 points to 1 up after 3 minutes, and doing well enough.
Dean comes, gathers. His man goes after him, but he can dish the ball out there quickly to Conor Lehan, who switched across here to the left, as you can see, showing great pace. Across came Fergal Moore. What about that for a challenge?
Yeah, great tackle by Fergal Moore coming across, and these tackles can raise your supporters much more than scores do, and great tackle. Maybe Conor Lehan went a little bit too far with it, narrowing his angle a bit. Might have been better off if he had looked across or had shot for the point earlier, but good start by Cork. They'll be heartened, of course, by the news that Cyril Donnellan is the starting Ger. That's a big blow to Galway.
Cyril Donnellan due to have started at left half forward on the Galway half forward line, and Cork trying to make some inroads here. Paddy O'Sullivan trying to play it back here once again, back towards Horgan. Got the opening point for Cork from a free. This one is played to the right hand side, and this one has gone wide. Now the story about Cyril Donnellan is that he was once again a fitness test at lunchtime. That's a fabulous intervention there. Got the ball brilliantly away, Fergal Moore, and they decided that Cyril Donnellan wasn't fit to start, but he could play some part if required. That's Niall Burke, right on the 65-metre line, the Cork 65-metre line. In came O'Halpine towards Cian McCarthy, but Cian McCarthy didn't get it. It comes out once again towards Cronin, and Patrick Cronin gets it back down the field again into the inside forward line towards Luke O'Farrell, coming way out, pressurised there by Johnny Cohen. Helped out here. This is Tony O'Gregan. Straight into the middle here as far as Niall Burke. There was nobody marking him, and Niall Burke has a shot and he puts it wide. And it was a good opportunity for him to have drawn the sides level there, because he was unmarked.
Yeah, super ball from Tony O'Gregan, low and fast to the unmarked Niall Burke, and he'll be very, very disappointed with that. Easy chance for Galway gone astray.
From the puck out, it's over there towards Cian McCarthy, who's gone over towards right half forward in a reconstructed half forward line, it would appear. No Niall McCarthy, of course, today. He's on the bench. Line ball to Cork. Cian McCarthy taking it in here towards Paulie O'Sullivan. Did well to get it back as far as Cian McCarthy, and the SARS man off his left hand side drives it high and puts it over the bar. He got 3 points when these teams met in Limerick last year in the qualifier. Here he's made it 3 points to 1.
Yeah, well, Galway slightly asleep for that one. I mean, that's a tactic that has come onto the game, you know, short sideline, and you have to have somebody who picks up the taker of the ball very, very quickly. Galway were a bit of a sleep, and I think Cork will be very pleased with the way things have happened in the first 5 minutes.
From the puck out here, it's O'Halpine who goes up into the air there to try and keep it away from Conor Cooney, who's out around the half forward line. Here comes Pa Cronin, virtually unmarked, and Pa Cronin puts it to the right, and he's missed the opportunity of adding to Cork's lead. 25 years of age now, the midfielder.
Yeah, could have steadied on a little bit there. Ger was on, you know, splendid isolation, could have actually stopped and taken his time and stuck it over the bar, and he'd be very disappointed with that wide. Could have been crucial for Cork to put him 3 points up.
So Skehill, the goalkeeper from Capatagal, once again hitting it right into the inside forward line, and in there is Owen Cadigan. He's a busy player, and this time Cadigan gives away. It's not Cadigan, it's Stephen MacDonald in fact, and it's going to be a free in to Galway. Cadigan was the one who was involved, and the referee, I think, decided it was a hand pass back to MacDonald, which was illegal, and it's a free in which Joe Canning is going to take. 121 so far in the championship, played in the last 2 matches, and starts well here, making no mistake. 3-2. It'll be interesting to see just what role he plays in today's match, because in the game against Kilkenny in the Leinster final he was out around midfield on occasions, showing great industry, getting really involved, very, very prominent. Knocked down here again as far as David Burke. Comes off Cooney, back as far as Niall Burke, and Niall Burke this time tries to make sure of it. That's 2 he's missed. Not the best of starts for the 21-year-old. Was used as a free taker in the early stages of the championship. They should be going over, and I think that's what Anthony Cunningham is probably saying.
Yeah, and Galway have left Joe Canning now in a full forward, you know, with acres of space around him. He's been picked up by Brian Murphy.
Pile up over there. Lochlan McLaughlin in the red helmet for Cork. It's left behind here. Coming out with it there was Niall Donoghue. Up towards Joe Canning. Canning gets there ahead of Brian Murphy. Slips it inside to Damien Hayes. The angle is tight. Hayes challenged by McDonald. Hayes fouled, and the referee says free in. Cork looked exposed and got caught.
Well, that's the danger, Ger. You know, I just referred to the fact that Joe Canning was inside by himself, and there was acres of space around him. Once he got a good ball in, you know, he has a great understanding with his clubmate from Portumna, Damien Hayes, who has huge pace, and once he got inside the Cork defence, well, better to foul him than to let him through.
Canning to take this. Low stop by Nash, comes back again, stopped on the line, and Nash the second time gets it away, and after that Conor Cooney came in and fouled him, but the referee didn't see it. Ball out into the middle of the field, in there as far as Andy Smith. Spicy opening to this game, across towards Joe Canning, runs on beyond the defenders. Coming across here is Brian Murphy. Murphy a link with the All-Ireland successes in 04 and 05. Way down the line it comes. Conor Lehan back on the right wing again, trying to go by Johnny Cohen, slips it back here again towards Jamie Coughlin. Right on the sideline here, the little hand pass inside, but Fergal get there first ahead of Conor Lehan. He's already made one very good intervention, and that's a good clearance. Down the field it comes. Caught there brilliantly by James Regan, the man who's coming in place of Cyril Donnellan. Defending here is Stephen MacDonald. Ball ran loose to Cronin. Pa Cronin has a loose player to give it to. O'Halpine has to work for this one. A little bit of sprinting to do for the 35-year-old. Down into open space. And that's always going to favour the Cork, or the Galway defender there, Fergal Moore. A bad ball. Straight to Paulie O'Sullivan. Paddy O'Sullivan trying to make inroads here, has options, has a clear chance of a score, and he puts it over the bar and makes it 4 points to 2. First point of the match for Paddy O'Sullivan. He was in acres of space.
Well, Fergal Moore was a bit casual. I think he assumed that the ball was going to get to David Collins, and Paddy O'Sullivan had read it from a long way off and made the interception, and an excellent score by Cork.
Early indications as the Cork goalkeeper, we can see this again, this save by Anthony Nash. 2 saves in fact made there from Joe Canning, and the clearance at the end, and that's what happened after that. In came Conor Cooney, and that's the end result. Nash receiving some attention there from the physio. Declan O'Sullivan in to attend to him. Early indications that both defence look a little bit porous.
Well, I mean, Galway are moving players around. David Burke is now back in the corner. I see Joe Canning is a full forward, and they have virtually 4 across the halfway line, with Damien Hayes not out as deep as he was playing against Kilkenny, more or less playing in the half forward line. But Cork will be pleased to be 2 points up.
O'Halpine is beaten in the air by Niall Burke. Good catch, good hands, fouled. 3 in for Galway. 11 minutes of the game gone, and this free is going to be taken by Joe Canning. He's already pointed 1 free.
I always feel you're a good catch, but I always feel you're much safer batting the ball, and that's the first puck out that Galway have won, and they have that's the second one that's come down the right hand side. That's the first one they have won. But I always feel that, you know, Patrick Cullen, if he had batted the ball there, get it down around the field and then work for the breaks. But good chance for Joe Canning now, and he should score this.
This to put 1 between the teams. He's 50 metres out, and he doesn't miss many, does he? Straight over. So 2 for the day for Joe Canning. Damien Hayes got the other point, of course, and it's 4 points to 3. Anthony Nash has pucked it out. Sean O'Halpine has to get away from David Burke, and then Niall Burke. Finally the ball is left behind. Niall Burke tries to roll it up onto his stick. Cadigan was trying to come in, Lorcan McLaughlin was trying to come in, then it's Tom Kenny. Slipped a little hand pass back here as far as Stephen McDonnell. Crossover here as far as Connolly Hahn. Ahead of him Johnny Cohen. Blocked down by Cohen. Cohen goes after it again. 65 minutes after the Galway goal. Shoulder there. In came Paddy O'Sullivan. Back it comes to Tom Kenny. Driven away back into the forwards again. In towards Luke O'Farrell. Bounces out here towards Niall Donoghue. Runs loose once again. Donoghue picks it up onto his stick. Man with the white helmet here. Under 21 fullback last year. Left it there, ready to hit, and intercepting was Lorcan McLaughlin. Rolls up onto the stick again, right in the middle of the park. Lorcan McLaughlin frees it out as far as Cian McCarthy. He lost it. In comes James Regan for Galway. 45 metres out from the target. That's a great score. James Regan's first. 4-all. Level for the second time.
Great passenger play there, Ger, and the crowd responded up and down the field. Cork will be a little bit annoyed with themselves, Galway will be a little bit annoyed with themselves, and then they won. Right, great hit there from Paddy Sullivan to dispossess number 7 for Galway, Johnny Cohen, and Cork had the ball, lost it, and a great score from Regan.
Cian McCarthy, he's so good in the air. Inside there towards Horgan, run loose from him. Cohen tries to get it, helped out here by Tony O'Gregan. Tries to get away from a couple of Cork forwards. Slipped away on towards Andy Smith. Smith had to get around Jamie Coughlin. Succeeds, and the referee has blown his whistle. And the referee saw a foul there about 25 metres out. Too many steps taken. And that was the very industrious but over the step mark Andy Smith.
Well, I suppose it's a feature of the game so far that both forward lines are tackling their respective defences very, very hard, and they're making life difficult. We saw Sean O'Halpine take a short puck out there, and Cork were lucky to get away with it, to clear it down the lines. And there again, Andy Smith, so good to get away from players, tackled by 1, 2, 3 players, and eventually giving over for steps, and an easy chance here for Pat Horgan.
As you say, no lack of heart being shown by the forwards so far as Horgan taps it over the bar, and it's Cork could go back in front again by 5 points to 4. Very pleasant afternoon for an All-Ireland semi-final. Anthony Cunningham's first experience. He was here, of course, as a player many times, part of that great Galway team of the 80s. Fergal Moore, huge one, big one that's dropping in there towards Cooney, and covering off here is Sean O'Halpine, using his experience there, perfectly positioned. The clearance isn't great. Niall Donoghue Back in here to Damien Hiss. Turned beautifully. McDonald's after him. Ball released quickly in there. In as far as Niall Burke. Dangerous situation. And Lorcan McLaughlin came in to hook him there. And that ball has gone wide. Promising attack. Comes to naught for Galway. Niall Burke heavily involved in it.
Well, you can see from the type of play that Cork are using, they're trying to walk the ball out of the fence, short ball to put players in possession, but a long ball from Sean had been swept up by Galway and found Niall Burke on his own. He might have been better to take his point from the chance, ran at the Cork defence and eventually hit it wide. And that's 3 wides Galway fit and 3 wides by Niall Burke.
Good pace in the match so far. Coughlin here lets it drop down. Ready to try and pick it up again. Challenged by Joe Canning. Look at where he is, back in his own half back line. Helped out here by the number 8. That's Iarla Tanyan, 28 today. Slipping it to the unmarked David Burke. David Burke quickly releases it inside, but that's going to favour Shane O'Neill. Cooney's the player going after him there. Conor Cooney from St Thomas is only 19 years of age, and that clearance has gone out over the far sideline. It'll be a line ball to Galway.
Well, that'll put the pressure back on Cork. A better option for Shane O'Neill would have been knock the ball back to Anthony Nash, because there was nobody within 40-50 metres of Anthony Nash, the Cork goalkeeper, and he would have been able to spray it out the other side or pick out a Cork forward. But I suppose both teams, if you were looking before the match and if you told Cork would be a point up after 16 minutes, they'd be very, very happy with that display.
I think they were about 1-3 to a point up after about 15 minutes last year in Limerick in the qualifier, and they lost by a fair old margin at the end of that. It's Iarla Tanyan is eventually going to take this. Linesman on the far side, James Owens, telling him to hurry it up, and also being careful about where the ball is being positioned. Tanyan, his team a point behind. Hit it poorly, but it might work out. Could do so as James Regan floats it across over here. Coming onto it, Joe Canning. After him is Brian Murphy, and Canning hits it. It comes down off the post. The goalkeeper stick. Anyway, it's cleared out to Cadigan, and Cadigan gets it away back down the field again. And once again, it's Pat Horgan here. Gets to it, fouled, free on the 65-metre line. That's the Galway 65-metre line. Free to Cork, with Cork leading by 5 points to 4. And the referee noting the offence and the offender, who was Joe Canning that time.
Yeah, well, I mean, there was no need for Joe Canning to come in there and foul the man. Patrick Horgan ended up being tackled there by number 2 David Collins, and Joe gave away a free. But I think Galway would have been better off if they put Joe in full forward. The one good ball that came in, he put Damien Hayes through.
Horgan has once again punished Galway with his very decisive finishing from frees. That's 3 in a row now for Patrick Horgan, the 24-year-old from Glen Rovers, the man who captains the team, of course, as well, in the absence of the luckless Donal O'Cusack. James Scahill once again busy with his puck out. Galway trying to win it straight down the centre. Another great catch there by Niall Burke. He's done well in the air. Hand passed it inside to Andy Smith, who couldn't quite take it. Owen Cadigan can. And Cadigan's clearance is out towards the wing. Paulie O'Sullivan's out there, so too Johnny Cohen, operating at corner back in spite of the number 7 on his back. Kevin Hines now, little block on it, comes out towards Niall Donoghue, the man from Kilbeakenty. Into space here, delivered towards Regan. Hand passed out here as far as Iarla Tanyan. Tanyan steps away from Paul Cronin, tries to do so. Cronin catches him free in. Chance for Galway to get within a point of Cork once more. And again, the referee noting the offences without taking cards. This is a fabulous piece of fielding here by Niall Burke, up into the air. He's so good, so strong. Big man, NUIG student. Joe Canning.
That's his forte, Ger. He's very good in the air, and he's a good, strong, typical old-style centre forward.
So Joe, who has recovered from that shoulder injury that hampered him all through the winter, takes the free and duly puts it over the bar. 100% record for the 2 free takers so far. 3 points from frees for Joe Canning, 3 points from frees for Patrick Horgan. 6-5, Cork shading it.
Yeah, there's an injury there now to Sean O'Halpine, so we'll have to have a stoppage. Referee Brian Gavin will have to go in for that.
Well, Sean Ogo had looked like his career was going to peter out in the subs once this championship was over, but he returned triumphantly against Waterford. Now he's, I think it's a facial injury, and he's back playing at Croke Park. Jimmy Barry Murphy there, looking for what he will hope is just a blood sub. So the message is in fast, and down will come one of the substitutes. to temporarily replace Sean O'Halpine. Whoops, he's okay. Patched up and mended. Physio's done his job. And the great man from the Piercing is ready to continue. Quick puck out by Anthony Nash, but it's way down once again. Coughlin rises up for it. In comes Lorcan McLaughlin. McLaughlin, little hand pass back here as far as Brian Murphy. If Joe Canning goes out the field, Brian Murphy's going to follow him. And that's across as far as Paddy O'Sullivan. Off his left-hand side and straight over the bar. Really good play by Paddy O'Sullivan. He's strong, he's inventive, he's got a very good finish as well. And that's 9 points in this year's championship. Makes it look easy, and Cork lead by 2.
Well, you could see Brian Murphy there when he got that ball. He took a few seconds to hold it to see who was free. Lovely ball in, and a great point by Paddy Sullivan.
Once again, Galway have gone for a short puck out, and once again Cork have been caught napping. Brian Murphy, however, wins it back, slips it out to Shane O'Neill. The hand pass then into the middle as far as Park Ronan. All the way down along in towards Luke O'Farrell, a man who can be very dangerous if given a goal opportunity. So far hasn't been given any openings like that. Luke, who's a student at Mary I in Limerick, ready to go in and mark his defender nearest to him, just as Fergal Moore comes across here to take the line ball for Galway. 21 minutes are gone. It's not the greatest of line balls. It's straight to Jamie Coughlin, looking around to place it carefully in as far as Paddy O'Sullivan again. Minimum of fuss, but not the maximum return this time. He'll be disappointed with that one. And that's Cork's third wide. And there have been 3 wides for Galway as well. Another short puck out by Galway. They're doing it repeatedly, and Cork haven't yet tried to counter that particular. Conor Cooney across here brilliantly to Joe Canning, ready to take off, and he puts it over the bar. He's always dangerous. His first point to come from open play. Well, just for a moment there, he might have been considering a possible goal for Galway. He got into space, took off. Really could have gone anywhere. Went over the bar instead.
Yeah, well, I think the goal chance was gone, Ger, but that came from a short puck out by Galway, and I think Paddy Sullivan was over here on the left-hand side of the field, and his man was left loose and nobody picked him up. Good puck out from Skehill, and Galway walked it up the field well.
This time they've been stymied as they try to get it out, but they work it back again, and it's Andy Smith, the Portumna man, way into open space there. Sean O'Halpine, recovered from injury, goes in, gets there ahead of Niall Burke. Brian Murphy slips it across, but he gives it away. Gives it to James Regan. And Regan, the St. Thomas's player, strikes it poorly. And it's wide on his near side. Got a lovely point a little while ago, but that should have been number 2 for him. Cork still leading. Jimmy Barry Murphy got a wonderful point in an All-Ireland semi-final, I remember 83, wasn't it, against Galway? Or goal rather, one of the great goals of the championship that year. That puck out here is towards Jamie Coughlin. James Regan standing over it, so too is Niall Donoghue. Eventually it's Andy Smith, another man in a white helmet. Back here towards Tony O'Gregan. Into space here towards Joe Canning. He's the obvious target. Brian Murphy wins the duel, plays it out as far as Shane O'Neill, and O'Neill delivers it 70 metres down the field, down towards Luke O'Farrell. O'Farrell trying to get it onto his stick, stymied there by Kevin Hines, flicked it away, but only as far as Conor Lehan, and from an awkward angle Lehan hits it and puts it wide. Pressure on the Galway defence. Cork trying to earn some scoring opportunities for themselves. Again the puck out taken quickly, but back it comes as far as Fergal Moore. Over towards Conor Cooney's corner. Cooney forced away from the goal area. Shane O'Neill's after him, putting the pressure on. It's now out around the 65-metre line. Here's Iarla Tanyan. Nicely forward. David Burke now controls. Checks his stride against Owen Cadigan. Slips it inside beautifully towards Cooney, who kept on going. Stopped. And now Allen, he's forced out with the ball out over the end line. It's got to be a 65. Good play by Galway. Good stop by the goalkeeper.
Excellent ball across, because number 10 David Burke spotted that Conor Cooney was on his own, really 80 yard or two on Shane O'Neill, who was caught napping for a second or two, and that all came because the Cork half forward aren't tracking back at the midfield, and they're making it easy for the Galway midfielders to pick out players in space.
Conor Cooney looking a little bit weary there, 19 years of age, first All-Ireland semi-final for him. Joe Cooney. Joe Canning rather ready to hit this one. And from a central position, straight over the bar. 5 points now for Joe Canning. Well, you might remember his great display against Cork back in 2008 in the qualifiers. He got 2 goals and 12 points that night and still finished on the losing team. Puck out's been taken by Cork, all the way down towards Paudie O'Sullivan. Gets onto it quickly, trying to deliver the hand pass. It was stopped by Johnny Cohen, helped out there by Niall Donoghue. Flicked into space, and there's a free man here waiting for it, and that's David Burke. And David Burke has missed another opportunity of adding to Galway's tally. That's 5 wides now for them. Team still level.
Well, to be fair to him, Jerry, I think that Tom Kenny got in a vital half hook at the time that he was striking and went off to his right.
Park Cronin from the puck out. Straight down there towards Lehan, who's working across right half forward, left half forward, constantly moving, causing problems for the Galway half back line. Fergal Moore there with a quizzical look on his face, standing over Lehan there, wondering about why the referee blew his whistle. But Brian Gavin, right on the spot, says free in.
Yeah, Gerald, just for the viewers at home, number 4, Fergal Moore, who, you know, normally number 4 is left cornerback, but he's actually playing in the right cornerback position. And David Collins, who is with number 2 on his back, is playing right half back.
I think that Conor Lehan has got a hand injury, and he was standing over that ball there just for a moment. Jimmy Barry Murphy's gone down to check with him. Meanwhile, Patrick Horgan once again stands over this. He's got 3 pointed frees already. It was from this angle that he got his first, and this one is over as well. 100% return for the free taking of Patrick Horgan. And back into the action is Conor Lehan. He's okay, able to continue. Playing it left half forward right now, being marked by David Collins. Here's Tony O'Gregan. Crossover towards Niall Donoghue. 2 Cork players went for the one ball. Eventually it's Stephen MacDonald who sweeps up behind them, keeps it away from Niall Burke. But straight back into the centre here again, and once more it's Niall Donoghue trying to place his clearance, intended for the inside forwards, got out by Sean O'Halpine. And just as Lorcan McLaughlin was going for it, he was fouled by David Burke. It's going to be a free for Cork. Just over 27 minutes gone. Cork by a point.
Yeah, Cork lucky to get away with that one. I think it was a handling error by Sean O'Halpine. I don't think it was an intended pass to Lorcan McLaughlin. Just think it went off his hand as he went to catch it, and we're lucky to get a free there.
Just a word about Sean O'Halpine. He keeps on playing back into the full back line, following his man. MacDonald sometimes comes out into the half back line to cover for him. They've got a very, very good understanding. As Anthony Nash takes this free, he's a very good free taker. That's going to drop dangerously in there, but James Scahill is equal to it. Out towards Conor Cooney. Coming across here was Lorcan McLaughlin. And Lorcan McLaughlin in full flow, playing it in there towards his inside forwards. Fergal Moore stands, delivers the little hand pass outside here to Johnny Cohen. And Cohen keeps it going up along the line towards David Burke. Well blocked down there by Park Cronin, but Galway still have it. And it's Iarla Tanyan now. Cronin's after him. Tanyan 45 metres out from the Cork goal. It's still Tanyan. And Tanyan in the end, neither a pass nor a shot. And that's a waste, a big waste by the big Ardroghan man.
Yeah, well, you could see there he was caught in 2 minds. He was looking for somebody to offload the ball to, and nobody ran for him, and in the end he tried to spoon it over the bar himself and it went wide. But Cork are picking up man marking, and they're reluctant to take anybody coming through, so that could prove dividential for Galway if they can do that as the game is going on.
Well, what Galway can do, Cork can do. Short puck out as far as Cronin, diagonally across over here. Totally different type of match for Galway from the goal from the match in the Leinster final, where they overwhelmed Kilkenny in the opening 35 minutes. It's cat and mouse here against Cork. Luke O'Farrell back as far as Paudie O'Sullivan, and Paudie O'Sullivan puts it straight over. He's got 3 points, and he's going to have to be much more tightly marked. Cork lead by 2.
Well, a great bit of skill here from Paudie O'Sullivan. Just very quick hands there, just in the blink of an eye over the bar, and Cork needed that, and they go 2 points in front now. They'll be pleased with the way they're playing. Almost 30 minutes gone, and they're 2 points up.
Galway have won two of the last three championship encounters between these counties. More or less the same squad of players as well. Owen Cadigan playing it back down there. Fergal Moore almost exposed. Lee Hahn's after him. Lee Hahn trying to win it. Fergal Moore near the end line, does well. Scoops it out here as far as Tony O'Gregan. Now there's nobody near him, and he could carry it further if he wanted to, but he delivers it long. And straight there to knock it out was Norcon McLaughlin, but he gives it to David Burke, and David Burke puts it over the bar. That ball could have been cleared, but David Burke worked hard, tried his best and got the point, and now it's 9-8.
Yeah, a little mistake there. Lachlan McLaughlin could have taken it down into his hand or even batted it away, but Burke very, very quick into win the breaking ball.
This is towards Park Cronin, who's usually so good in the air. This time it's Irlatanian, knocks it back towards Joe Canning, bounces in over him, and this time it's Cadigan who's doing the sweeping. There's a variation of different defenders coming behind Joe Canning at all times, anticipating the worst and fearing that the big man from Portumna just might get the possession. Tony O'Gregan now back up towards Canning again, and this time he gets it into his hands. This time he's taking on Tom Kenny, and this time he turns, and this time it is over the bar, and he's now got 6. Teams level for the 4th time.
Well, the crucial thing for Joe Canning there was that he was behind Tom Kenny, so he was the master once the ball came, taller than Tom, just pushed him off it, and a lovely point from the left.
4 minutes to go to half time. He makes this wonderful catch. Tom Kenny in difficulty there because Joe Canning's moving all around the place. Here's Luke O'Farrell, the other number 14, yet to score, and that one is going to drift away to the right of the right-hand upright. No joy so far for the 22-year-old from Middleton. Well, how will Anthony Cunningham be feeling about the opening 31-32 minutes, do you think?
Well, I think I suppose Cork came with the fact of keeping themselves in the game for as long as they could, and I think they'll be happy with that. The last thing they want to do is be blitzed like Kilkenny were, and at least there's no goals gone in their side there.
Irlatanian taken well by Anthony Nash. Out here as far as Lochon McLaughlin. Good understanding by Cork to deliver that ball way down there towards Conor Lee Hahn. Everybody appealing for it, and the linesman's James Owen over there from Wexford saying it went off the 20-year-old from Middleton. Line ball to Galway.
I suppose if you were analysing the game so far, I mean, at this stage of the Kilkenny game, Damien Hayes was having an absolute blinder. He hasn't been on the ball that often, and he's been man-marked by Steve MacDonald, but it's just know he's on it here.
You mentioned his name. Here he is, ready to take off. MacDonald's after him. It's to Joe Canning. And inevitably it ends up with a score. He's got 7 points so far, Joe Canning. Well on his way to replicating the big scores he's put up against Cork in the past. And Galway lead here after 33 minutes of play by 10 points to 9.
I think that run by Damien Hayes makes the point I was making. The more often they can get in the game, it proves very profitable for Galway.
Jamie Coughlin, cross here towards Luke O'Farrell, got out ahead of his man who's Fergal Moore this time, steadies himself and puts it over. That'll do his confidence a lot of good. Everybody in the inside forward line has now got among the scores. In fact, the only forward not to score so far is Conor Lee Hahn, and he's been very, very busy and influential. 10-all, level once again. Very good All-Ireland semi-final, let it be said. All the way up there, batted straight back down again, but only as far as Andy Smith. Out to David Burke, and David Burke from a next to impossible angle has put it over to restore Galway's advantage and put them back in front again as we head closer to half-time.
Well, all that from a long tuck out of break, and David Burke was having a super year, and beautiful point from the left corner.
That move from him, or by Galway's management of him, from midfield to the half-forward line has worked very well. He's strong, he's industrious, he's got a good scoring rate as well. From that tuck out there towards Conor, this time it goes off a Galway stick. It's a line ball for Cork, who find themselves in arrears now as we are into the 35th minute of this All-Ireland hurling semi-final. The second one coming up, of course, next Sunday afternoon, which you'll also be able to hopefully share with us and enjoy. Kilkenny v Tipperary. Right now it's a case of which one of these teams will get to the final first. Luke O'Farrell trying the shot, and this time he puts it wide on his near side, so Cork still behind.
Yeah, and that would be disappointing for the other Cork forwards, really. Like, that point wasn't on. They need to play the percentage, knock the ball across the 20-metre line, knock it back to the 45, but keep it in play.
And this time the race is won by MacDonald from that longer puck out. Galway have changed their puck out strategy in the last few minutes and gone long, and it was targeted towards Damien Hayes, and to his credit, Stephen MacDonald won that race with Hayes. Anthony Cunningham upset.
Well, he may have been upset because Steve McDonald was under severe pressure there and just threw the ball forward. An old tactic there, perfected by the likes of Henry Shefflin and other Kilkenny players. On the blind side of the referee, just throw it forward and, you know, hope for the best, and Cork with a free now. Difficult enough for Patrick Horgan from this distance.
With 30 seconds remaining of the 1 minute of added time, it's going to drop down, and it drops over the bar. As you say, Donald, it was a very, very difficult free for him, but he's equal to the task, and that's now 5 pointed frees by Pat Horgan of Glen Rovers, and the teams are level again. From Galway's defence, it's Fergal Moore who drives it up. Can they get the last score before the whistle? Canning plays it back. Niall Burke can't take it. Lorcan McLaughlin can, and the referee Brian Gavin gets the whistle to his lips and ends an entertaining opening half here of this All-Ireland semi-final. JBM will be quite pleased, I think. His team have battled hard against a Galway team coming into this match full of confidence. The main scorers, of course, Joe Canning with 7, Patrick Horgan with 5 frees. At half-time, it's Galway 11, Cork 11. We have analysis, we have a lot to talk about at half-time and the full second half after this.
So take one poor little lost chicken.
Since moving to New York, I've lost my job, my apartment, and my fiancé.
Add in the freaky flatmate.
She doesn't trust me.
Well, you did sleep with her fiancé.
Throw on a disturbed neighbour.
My compliments to the chef.
And sprinkle on James Vanderbeek.
You're rich, famous, and adored, but you're upset that you're adored for the wrong reasons? Exactly. I made $4 today. I walk a lonely road.
Don't Trust the Bee in Apartment 23 starts Thursday at 8 on RTE2.
Liberty Insurance was founded here in Boston 100 years ago with a simple philosophy, doing the right thing by its customers. And now, Liberty Insurance is in Ireland, and they brought that philosophy with them. So when it comes to motor, home, and commercial insurance, you'll have someone in your corner every step of the way, which is exactly the way it should be. Call 1890-89-1890 or visit libertyinsurance.ie. Liberty Insurance, insurance the way it should be.
There are several handy ways to pay your TV license. One of them is not by osmosis. An easier one is by phoning local 1890-228-528. It's the law, so pay your TV license in a way that suits you.
Is your sports club keeping up with the Lucasade Sport Club Crusade? 3 sports clubs in Ireland will win €10,000 by collecting as many bottle caps from Lucasade Sport and Lucasade Sportlight as possible. The new limited edition Lucasade Sport Summer Fruits bottle is your club's chance to make a dash for the line, because its red cap is worth 2 bottle caps. Go to lucasadesport.ie and keep collecting Lucasade Sport bottle caps.
At half-time in Croke Park in this summer's first senior hurling semi-final between Galway and Cork. It's all square, 11 points apiece. And with me here in studio, Liam Sheedy, Gerlach Nan and Eddie Brennan. And Liam, that was a good, exciting first half of hurling there.
Yeah, the intensity is reasonably good. I think both teams, Cork definitely come out and with intent in their play. I felt, definitely I haven't seen that level of intensity from Cork's play all year. They've taken it to a new level today and probably needed it. They snuck into a 4-2 lead after 10 minutes and it was going really well for them. In fairness to Galway kept pegging them back. But, overall I think it's still very, very finely poised. I'm a little bit surprised at how easy both teams are allowed to get possession from the puck outs. I think both ends, when James Scahill and Anthony Nash get the ball, in an awful lot of cases they're allowed to pick a soft option. Fergal Moore is raining down ball down into the Cork half full back line, and likewise to this side, some of the Cork puckouts, again very, very simple possession. So I think both managers will be disappointed with that aspect of their play, but at half time 11 points all is finely poised.
It is, yeah. You kind of felt, Ger, that Galway were taking a little while to get into their stride in this one from the first few minutes like they were.
Well, of course, the question everybody's asking before the game was, would Galway play with the same intensity as against Kilkenny? The answer is no. They're way below that. And not alone physical intensity, but their mental sharpness isn't as good either.
Is that the layoff?
I wonder, is it the layoff, or maybe it's just a bit of pressure, like having played so well against Kilkenny the last day. Yeah. And Galway's notorious thing of finding it hard to replicate a big performance the next day. But they have settled down into the game now. Now tactically they were absolutely terrible in the first half. They had Joe Canning inside at the edge of the square, which was great. But what did they do after about 5 minutes? Shoved him out wing forward. Now if you're the opposition, where do you want to see Joe? As far away as possible. Exactly, yes. As far away from the goal as possible. And inside was Conor Cooney, not a noted goal scorer. Now it's only since they've moved Joe back in again that they've come back into the game again. So I imagine they'll keep him in there in the second half. But in fairness to Cork now, you have to say everything we said about him at the start. They are playing, they're fighting for every ball, they're fighting like tigers, and playing with great intensity.
Because Eddie, as we said before, there's no way any Cork team is ever just going to come up to Croke Park just to make up the opposition.
No, hugely proud men and very confident men. They'd have no fear coming to Croke Park whatsoever, despite I suppose the little bit of inexperience. But just sewn into that team, they have a couple of very experienced men, and I suppose they have Don Logue there in the background as well. I'm sure he was very involved in the build up to this.
Took on some nice points early in the game.
They did indeed, yeah, and I suppose that was what they had to do. They had to bring the match to Cork, and we can see it right from the off. Jamie Collin just slipping a nice simple point, I suppose avoiding the blocks, just a little wristy flick over the bar, and that's what they needed to set them down. And just a little bit of cleverness as well, no wild pull there, just a little flick out. Keane McCarthy there slipping over a point, and I think Patrick Horgan as well has weighed in. He's hurling really well at the moment. But Paddy O'Sullivan has picked up 3 from play, and I think he's pulling Fergal Moore all over the place. I think this Fergal Moore is on him at the moment, and he's pulling him all over the place. He got a point there in the first half as well, and he was nowhere to be seen. But I think what Galway are doing today, which they didn't do the last day, is they're allowing the Cork lads come at them, whereas before they were ferocious, getting in on the breaking ball, and Cork kind of started that today. But in fairness to Galway, they have steadied down a little bit. At one stage there we saw Joe Canning on Gerard's point, he was up almost on his own full back line. Madness.
One of the things that might have frustrated Galway supporters in that first half was Galway were looking for goals when there were simple points in the offering.
Yeah, I think obviously they got the early goal the last day against Kilkenny, and it was probably in their heads to go get a goal. And like here's Joe, you'd imagine that maybe the simple point was the option, but it's like every 21 when they're blocked, they're always the wrong decision. When they go in, they're great. But fairness to Anthony Nash, plays himself well, gets a good block in and catches it, and he delivers a long ball up the field. And again, Niall Burke. Niall Burke has had a really good first half. Unfortunately for him, he's had 3 wides. Because he's actually getting his hand. He's winning possession. He's doing exactly what you'd want a centre forward to do. But again, he had no score. That was the time for me just to tip the ball over the bar, tip the point was on it. There's been a few instances of that there in the first half, and they're better off in those instances put the ball over the bar.
As we've said, Ger, a number of times, we're waiting to see that Galway intensity from the last day against Kilkenny. Very few examples of it, but this one was. James Regan got a point at the end of this.
This was a great score, and I don't know who I thought Niall was going to pick the ball off the ground, and
so did he.
A bit of dodgy. Exactly. A lot of people were saying he did, but after that he made great strides with it. When it comes to James Regan here, the pressure that Cork put on. Tanyan comes in here, it bodies into the middle of the field. This is the kind of intensity we expected from Galway rather than from Cork. Now once it breaks, then it's a really great score. Regan has good class, Now he had 2 wides. He shot a bit wildly from the sideline. Coming in your first day, you're a bit anxious, but that was a great test to be able to put that one over the bar. But the big talking point, of course, from everybody here is Hayes, he was the main architect the last day of the thing. Now they put Stephen McDonald, the fullback, out at midfield after him, and he has done a great marking job on him.
So
now
Damien has broken that from the last day.
Yes, but it just shows how good a holder Stephen McDonald is,
But one little worry, Eddie, from from a Cork point of view was towards the last 5-10 minutes of that match, Galway were getting more possession. As you were saying, Canning was playing in front of the post, and the scores started to come.
Yeah, well, that was the thing, I suppose. Damien Hayes started doing what he's good at, and that's carrying the ball through. But David Burke as well was a bit of a nervous start for him, and he has kind of got into the match now, picked up 2 points. I think he was roving around a good bit, and they just weren't finding with the ball. But in fairness, he's after picking off 2 superb points, and they've steadied Galway down a little bit. But Damien Hayes, a superman when things are really on a high. But I suppose now the challenge for Damien now is he has to get himself involved in this match. I suppose we've seen in the past he can tend to float out of the match a little bit. So they need him today because he got one ball there and he carried it right through the middle, laid it off to Joe Canning. It was a very good point, and that's the one thing defenders don't want to have to do, is be run after that when the grass is open in front of them.
Before we talk more about this semi-final, lads, a reminder of our hurling coverage coming up here on RTE. The Sunday game this evening. Just a reminder to you that at half-time here in this semi-final, it's 11 points apiece. So Anthony Cunningham would have got his Galway players into the dressing room, same as JBM, obviously. And what will he be saying?
I think he'd be disappointed with their first half performance. They just seem to be that little bit edgy. As I said maybe before the match, this is knockout. Definitely they don't seem to be in the same mental frame of mind as they were when they come out against Kilkenny, and I think that'll disappoint him. So I think he'll be looking forward to getting them in and saying, lads, come on, this isn't our real form, we've really got to up it. But I think if they do up it, they'll have the class to win, but they will need to up it.
Liam, we don't know who's going to win this match, but we can tell you somebody that is going to win. It's competition time here on the Sunday game. Now, could I advise you to pay special attention to what you are about to see, because there's an excellent prize up for grabs.
We've teamed up with Etihad Airways, proud sponsor of the GAA Hurling All-Ireland Senior Championship, to give you the chance to bring a friend or family member living overseas home for hurling. Etihad Airways will fly your friend plus a guest from any of their network destinations connecting to Dublin, Ireland, in time to catch this year's All-Ireland hurling final. But that's not all. You in turn will be able to visit your friend, as you will also receive return flights for 2 from Ireland to your friend's destination. This great prize includes flights, 4 tickets to the final, overnight accommodation for 4 in the top Dublin hotel, and €1,000 in spending money. For your chance to win, answer this. Which team did Galway defeat to win their first ever Leinster GAA Hurling Championship title? Was it Dublin, Wexford or Kilkenny? To enter, call 15 15 71 71 82 or text the word hurling followed by your answer and name to 57111. Viewers in the north can also text to 57111 or call the number on screen. You must be over 18 to enter. More details are on RTE Airtel page 194, and lines will close at midday on Monday, August 20th. The lucky winner will be announced on Championship Matters on RTE2 on Thursday, August 23rd, so tune in for that.
The younger lads.
Let's look at that competition. It is a good one, but who's going to win on this particular Sunday here in Croke Park? Lovely day here, by the way. Gerlachnan, sun is beginning to peep out, and excellent conditions for hurling.
It is. The conditions are excellent. Now, we've now come to an absolutely crucial point for the development of this Galway team. Going in at half time, things going against them. Now is the time for their big men to step forward. If they have leaders, now is the time for the leaders to show that leadership. If they do, they're like David Collins, Fergal Moore, Tony O'Gregan, big experienced men. Now, Joe Canning even. Joe was there 4 or 5 years. Those are the men, Damien Hayes. They must step forward now and give the leadership to the young lads. If they do that and go on and win the game, then this will be the making of the team. If they don't, Galway are gone back again to where they started at the start of the year. In the development of every team, a point comes that is absolutely, that tips the balance between going on to greatness and falling back to where you were before. Galway have now reached that point. I think Cork are playing to the limit of their ability. All the players around the middle third of the field where we expect them to be dominated, they're fighting for every ball, they're playing way better than they've played in any game this year. And it's in the balance. But at the end of the day, it's who comes out on top after 70 minutes.
It is. That's a fair point, Eddie.
Yeah, that's the thing, and I suppose the flip side of the point Ger is making is it's crucial for Cork. I mean, this could be the making of a Cork team as well, and I suppose, look, we all would have felt on form and what Galway brought to the Leinster final. You know, you'd expect them to come out, but it's Cork seem to have their homework done a little bit more. They are tackling like mad. You know, the one thing I will say about them is they're ferocious in the tackle. They're not afraid to get hurt. Like we said, they'd have to be willing to do, and they've got their matchups right as well here at the back. They're tracking their markers, so it's equally important for Cork. And as we said before, you know, Cork being Cork, they guarantee you they have one eye on the All-Ireland as well.
They will, and I suppose, Liam, from Jimmy Byron Murphy's point of view, it doesn't really need to change anything there at the moment.
No,
Or does he?
No, well, I mean, 5 of his starting 6 forwards have scored, you know, and Conor Lehan is the only one that hasn't scored, hasn't really settled. I thought had a great chance maybe to tip the point early on and didn't, and you know, he's won a free. But in general, I think, you know, the one thing Cork will know from the last day game Waterford is that if they could get this match down to the last 10 minutes, you know, they have got good subs, you know, we know that they have 18, 19, 20 players, and that, you know, so that they'll be anxious to get it. I think the goal, the team that gets the first goal here is going to have a big say. I think that's going to be a crucial score. You know, I really feel that if Galway were to get a goal, I think they'd kick on, because there's a huge Galway crowd here behind us.
41,537. They're not all from Galway, by the way, but they're in for a good second half.
Liam has made the absolutely vital point there. You know, Galway now have to push on right after half time, because when they like a Darren Sweetman, Cathal Naughton, you know, Cork have 10 subs who've already played in the championship this year, and any 5 of those they can bring on, and there's one of them on already.
Yes.
Naughton is on already. I think it looks like Cathal Naughton to me.
It is Cathal Naughton.
It is on already. You know, they have great subs to bring on. Galway probably having the same options in the bench as they have, not the same experience anyway. So listen, this game is really, you know, I'm really looking forward to the second half, because it's going to be a terrific 35 minutes.
Call it for me now, Eddie.
Yeah, I still feel Galway should get over the line, but you know, as Ger said there, the Cork subs have all had game time this year, and we know what they're capable of. They've used a big panel of lads right from the league final on. They've always had 2 or 3 changes every day, new lads coming in. You have Niall Mack and a few of these to come on, good players. But I still think if Galway can get the ball into Joe in there at the edge of the square, that's where to be won.
Cian McCarthy is the player out there, by the way, for Cathal Naughton to come in. Cathal Naughton's the kind of player he'll be fitting. He should be on from the start himself anyway.
Well, he will, but you know, at the same time, with his pace, it's not a bad time to bring in someone like that. You know, when lads start to get tired after 45, 50 minutes, you know, to see, like, Cathal Naughton, you'll probably see him getting his trademark ball down along the wing, and generally when he does, he pops these points. So, you know, as I said, it's finally poised here at half time. You know, Galway haven't really found their rhythm just yet, and you know, they're going to need to find it really, really soon in my eyes, you know.
There's a man expecting a tough second half. He has plenty of hurleys lined up on the sideline there anyway, Ger.
He sure has, and they'll be needed in the second half. Now, of course, the vital time here will be the next 10 minutes. You know, for one team to get the upper hand. For up to now, there has never been more than 2 or 3 points between the teams. Now, as you said there, a goal will be absolutely vital, because some days, you know, a goal is 3 points.
Who's the most likely to get it?
Well, I think Galway are still most likely to get it. You know, if they can get the ball there to Joe, one man, Joe is most likely to get it. But you know, it doesn't always work out like that. You know, in fairness to Jimmy Barry, he has done everything right in this game. Their approach has been exactly right. Their plan has worked to perfection so far. Now Galway have to respond. That is the whole thing. You know, a person outwits you in the first half. It's up to you then. You have time at half time to make your plan and to take them on in the second half. That's what makes this so intriguing.
Galway taking the max here, Eddie. So obviously Anthony Cunningham is running the drill past them again.
Yeah, I suppose he's, you know, often you see teams that come out and they're fairly wound up, but you know, it's, I suppose, getting the last few words into them, and I think more than anything else he'll tell them to relax a little bit. I think they were very edgy, so he needs them just to relax a little bit and hurl. Their touch has been a little bit rusty.
Galway and Cork fans won't be able to relax for the next 35 minutes. Back to the commentary box to rejoin Ger Canning and Donal O'Grady.
That's for sure, Michael. Absolutely certain. Level at 11 points apiece at half time. Start of the second half. Donal.
I just looking that Cork have moved Jamie Collin to centre forward, so they'll obviously try and knock short ball into him with the idea that he'll run at Tony O'Grady.
And there he is, number 12, right in the middle of all of that, in front of a crowd of over 41,000, as you've heard. Stalemate. Comes back out here as far as Sean O'Halpine, looking to try and give Cork an early advantage. Paddy O'Sullivan here. Been marked by Johnny Cohen. And it's Paddy O'Sullivan who's got 3 points from that first half and is proving quite a handful. And it's a free in.
Well, David Collins came in to take him there actually, and missed the ball completely. He wasn't sure where, and Paddy ran through there and tackled, and good free for Cork. Now they'll be pleased with that. That'll be a great start. Number 7 there for Galway, Johnny Cohen, who's playing left corner back, took Paddy O'Sullivan down. So simple chance for Pat Horgan. They'll be thrilled with that start.
Horgan with 5 points from the first half from frees, and that's a good start to the second. So far so good for Cork. And Cathal Naughton has gone in, by the way, at left half forward. That change that Jimmy Barry Murphy and his management team made at half time. Anthony Cunningham hasn't made any changes at the break, but he has Cyril Donnellan still in reserve. Remember, he did say to us that he could play some part if required. Here's Andy Smith, dropping it in once again towards Joe Canning and over Canning's head. Canning went down, challenged by Brian Murphy, still down on the deck as the ball is cleared away by Cadigan all the way up onto the 45-metre line. Niall Donoghue for Galway. Dispossessed well again by Paddy O'Sullivan, and then it's given away to Tony O'Gregan. Huge one down here. Let's run in over the head of Conor Cooney, and Cooney trying to get inside. Shane O'Neill manages to do well, and that flashes right across the face of goal and was so dangerous. Conor Cooney, student at Mary I in Limerick, and remember got those couple of goals early on in Portlaoise against Offaly in the Leinster semi-final.
Great shot here, Gerald. Seldom now we see a player pulling on the ball on the ground and a whiz past the post. Anthony Nash will be delighted to see that go wide.
Let off for Cork, and that's batted out over the sideline, so it's going to be a line ball for Cork, some 45 metres or so from the Galway end line. Jamie Coughlin standing over it. Jamie is a student at CIT. Goes short in towards Pat Horgan. Picks it up well. Tries to slip away from Niall Donoghue, and he takes too many steps. It's a free out.
Yeah, well, Ger, he'll be disappointed with himself there, and so will Jamie Collin, because the ball should have gone back to Conor Dehan. The ball should have gone back there straight away.
Well, the target man is very much Joe Canning once again here. Murphy's alongside him, and Murphy comes across, trips Joe Canning. Down he goes, free from 20 metres out. Big Joe in full flow here. 7 points, his tally from the opening 35 minutes. So this to put level in an ideal position for him. Taking maximum care with it, and the teams are level now for the 7th time. His 8th point. 12 all.
Yeah, there's a tackle there by Brian Murphy. Joe Canning, of course, has great pace, and surprised a bit by Galway that they have Damien Hayes inside now, playing as a sort of an orthodox full forward, corner forward. I'd have expected him out around the middle of the field to protect his backline and to run from there.
That's well taken down, virtually unchallenged by Tony O'Gregan. Slipped down towards the aforementioned Damien Hayes, and Hayes has got it, and Galway might have a man over here. Hayes tries the shot, and Hayes puts it over the bar. Point in each half now for the 30-year-old Damien Hayes from Portumna in Galway, and Galway lead again by 13 points to 12, early stages of the second half.
Yeah, he's got little of the ball, Ger. He's seen little of it, but he's been very, very effective when he's got it. About 3 or 4 times that he's got the ball. Every time he's got it, he has run at defence and looked severe threatening. 2 great points now, 1 in each half.
Galway with just a 2-man inside forward line trying to expose Cork's defence. They're trying to keep Owen Cadigan back, Cork. Back as a little bit of extra protection.
Yeah, and you notice there, Gerald, as well, the last 2 puck-outs that Anthony Ashe had, he just littered them down the field, so to speak, and Tony O'Gregan won both of those balls, whereas in the first half they used the ball, shorter balls to wing-backs, cornerbacks and midfielders, and I think Cork would have to go back to that to get a grip back in the game.
That comes straight back here. Back as far as Lochorn McLaughlin. Man from Kanturk. Straight to the unmarked Johnny Cohen. Unmarked initially, not any longer. And that is robbed and stolen from him by Jamie Coughlin. Tries to give the hand pass off there towards Cathal Naughton. Didn't succeed because Niall Donoghue got back in again for Galway as the sun begins to make an appearance. And out comes Stephen McDonnell. His clearance away there is only towards Andy Smith. Smith picks it up inside in his own half, delivers it towards the half forwards, in towards David Burke. Takes it down, a commanding figure. Back across beautifully to Joe Canning. Now there's more expressive hurling coming from Galway, and that is a wonderful point. 9 for Joe, 14 for Galway. They lead by 2.
Yeah, very good interplay by Galway there, David Burke, and then crossfield ball to Joe Canning, and struck over a great point from the 45 metre line. But Galway actually had no player inside the 45 metre line when Joe Canning took that shot.
There's a Galway player on the ground, and it's number 8, Irlitanyan, and the team doctor, Dr. Dan Murphy, is going across there. He might well have been involved with Pa Cronin just a few minutes ago here, and the referee is calling the Cork number 8 across. He's had words with him. Let's have a look at it again here. Oh, and you could see the hurley was used there into Irlitanyan, and if the referee or linesman saw that, he could be in difficulty. Galway's midfielder Irlitanyan still receiving some attention from the team doctor, and the physio's out there as well, Jerry O'Reilly. Well, they've already lost Cyril Donnellan before the start of the match. I didn't see any card being issued. Not so far anyway.
Well, if it wasn't picked up, you know, it is very difficult to give a card if they, you know, probably watching the puck out coming, and I actually didn't see it. I saw it just there in replay now, and Park One just gave him the hand of the hurley.
It happened off the ball, that's why.
So the referee may be unaware of what happened, but...
Well, Cronin's a very lucky boy in that case.
Well, a lot of the time the problem is that you don't see what's going on before it, or you don't see what's going on after it, and 2 big men there, of course, and a little bit of argy-bargy, maybe referee having a chat with both of them now. But as you said, if it was just an isolated incident, Park Cronin is lucky, right? If that had been picked up, you know, he could have been found, well, at least a yellow card, if not more.
If at least. Irlitanyan's okay. Park Cronin escapes without any card. And James Regan collects this puck out from Anthony Nash and sails forward here and hits it from 45 metres out, but he might have done a little better than that. It came under a lot of pressure right at the very end there. 1 point in the first half, James Regan's tally so far. And Cork are about to make a change as we watch Sean O'Halpine hit that one into the inside forwards, but it's overhit, carried in the breeze a little bit, and there is a foul there by Paddy O'Sullivan on Fergal Moore, and it's going to be and that was the foul once again there, involving Fergal Moore and Paddy O'Sullivan.
Yeah, well, very high delivery by Sean O'Halpine. No Cork forward really moving for him when he got the ball, but you know, the defenders love to see high ball coming in there. Fergal Moore took it and got his free, and he'd be delighted with that. Scahill now can let the ball down the field.
The next sub in will be Darren Sweetenham to try and boost Cork's midfield, I imagine. That's a poor puck out because it's gone straight across there towards David Collins, who wasn't anticipating the puck out by James Scahill, and the pressure will be back on the Galway defence again. But they lead by 2. We're into the 44th minute. Little fumble there by Collins.
Yeah, well, all those balls stuck against Kilkenny, Gerard, just goes to show, you know, you haven't played for 5 weeks. There's a little bit of ring rustiness there, and Galway, even though they're 2 points ahead, they're not playing particularly well.
Well, they did go back to their clubs to try and keep their sharpness going, but as you say, 5 weeks the gap between the matches, as O'Halpine hits it in here, and it's left behind, and Tony O'Gregan can deliver it back down the field again. Caught well here, taken by Owen Cadigan, and Owen Cadigan trying to locate Conor Lehan. Lehan trying to slip it past Niall Donoghue, not easy to do, and it's Donoghue who emerges with it, stands his ground, plays it nice, cut again well here, and Shane O'Neill into the challenge there of Niall Burke. A little pile up, and the referee will end the uncertainty by throwing the ball in, I imagine. Shane O'Neill, number 2 for Cork, there on his hands and knees virtually. And Darren Sweetenham is coming into the match. Now the question of which of the midfielders will go off. In fact, it's not a midfielder, it's going to be Conor Lehan. So that's going to take a little bit of restructuring.
Well, Patrick Cronin might be put back onto the right half forward position, trying to win a few balls from puck outs, because Cork have lost a lot of them in the second half. And Sweetenham, of course, we know what he can bring to midfield.
Here's Irlitanyan down towards Joe Canning. being confronted by two Cork players, and the referee says play on. Galway fans thought they might have had a free, but they might have more than that now. Joe Canning threatening. Oh, that's it for Conor Cooney. Still the angle is tight for him. Back towards Canning once again. Breaks out towards Niall Burke, and Burke evades the challenge and puts it over. His first point, and Galway have a 3-point lead.
Well, that's the threat of Joe Canning. Two players got on him very quickly, Brian Murphy and Owen Cadigan, and he still got away and just overhit his pass to Conor Cooney. If it had stuck, it was definitely a goal, but he did very well, turned through here. Great skill by Joe and great determination, and his pass was just a little bit off, but Niall Burke did the correct thing, took his point when the goal set chance was gone.
In truth, Cork have done their best to try and keep tabs on Joe Canning, but really they don't have any defender capable of marking the man when he is in this wonderful form. 9 points so far. Tom Kenny, huge one down towards Luke O'Farrell, trying to slip it back there towards Park Ronan. It's going to be a line ball for Galway. Is the tide turning in their direction? He would like to think so. They've put in the hard work. They're hoping to be back here on what will be the 9th of September this year for the All-Ireland hurling final. Johnny Cohen hitting it. Collected here by Park Ronan into the half-forward line at this stage. That's taken by Pat Horgan, and Horgan knocks it high, accurately so, and over the bar. He's got 7. Cork have 13, still 2 between them.
Yeah, well, that's Patrick Conan's benefit there and the half-hour line, big and strong, and I think that's why he was brought on there, trying to win a bit of ball and try and link it up with the inside forwards, and a good score from Pat Horgan.
James Skell's long puck out for Galway. Owen Cadigan trying to read the flight of the ball, fell down as it was coming into his hands. Shane O'Neill goes back there for Cork, keeps it away from his man. The other number 2 gets it, David Collins. Beats the attempted block of Lorcan McLaughlin. It's gone diagonally across towards Joe Canning. He's very much the target man time and again. Brian Murphy trying to keep it from him. Joe Canning saying he was lying on the ball. The referee says no foul, no free, and instead it's Darren Sweetnam, and you can hear what the Galway fans think of that. Back it comes again to Fergal Moore. Tries to take off past 2 Cork forwards. Helped out here by Johnny Cohen. Johnny Cohen darting out of defence, showing great determination. Neatly across here. Again Galway go for the long range point. Niall Burke having a go, and that one has gone over the bar, and it's another white flag for Niall Burke. 2 in a row now in the second half, and it's 16 points to 13.
Yeah, and that's coming about, Ger, because Lorcan McLaughlin is dropping back in front of his half back line, and there's loads of space around the middle of the field, and Galway have to pick out Niall Burke.
Galway have picked out here Letanian. Slipped in here towards Niall Burke. As you say, oceans of space. He misuses it this time, and it's straight to Tom Kenny, and the right half back can lash it forward here. Bounces off the defender and Luke O'Farrell, and it's gone wide. Luke O'Farrell says it went off the number 3, Kevin Hines, but the umpire, who was closest, said no.
Yeah, well, Cork have changed their tactics a little bit, or they're not being allowed to play the tactics in the first half, where they moved the ball from half back line through midfield, through half forward line into their full forward line, and they're hitting long ball and it's being swept up gratefully by the Galway defence inside.
Well, warming up here is Davy Glennon, goal scorer already in this year's championship, and he will be coming on presently, it would appear. Interesting, we're some 14 and a half minutes into the second half, and I don't remember Cathal Nocton getting a chance yet.
Well, you could say that David Collins, he won good ball there in the second half, but he hasn't really been in the play as much as he was against Kilkenny. But Cork aren't using the ball, they're not knocking it short, they're driving it in long, and I think Cathal Nocton would benefit from just short balls, or Jamie Coughlin just short balls, but they haven't got the control around the middle.
Well, that was hit in by Darren Sweetnam, and it was collected there well and fired back down the field again, but not a Cork man inside when that ball came in. Here's Sweetnam, very industrious 19-year-old. Again the loose ball is hit away straight to Andy Smith. That's 2 balls given away by Cork in the last 30 seconds. They get it back once again here, however, and it's Brian Murphy now steadying himself to hit it into the inside forwards. Galway seem to be there in numbers, however. Paulie O'Sullivan applying some pressure, and everybody claiming it. in particular Tony O'Gregan, and the decision is going against Tony Og and his teammates. It'll be a line ball to Galway, 3 points ahead.
Well, that's the point there, Gerard. Brian Murphy won a great ball there from Joe Canning, classic cornerback play, just make sure the full forward it, and but again deliver the ball maybe 80 yards up the field, and Galway were quite content to snuffle out those ones, and you know, Tony O'Gregan arguing that it was his line ball, but they're doing very, very well as a defensive unit now.
Okay, as you saw, Luca Farrell's gone off, Stephen Moylan's gone on. Let's see if he can make a difference. Got 2 very good points against Offaly when he came on in that qualifier. David Collins down here as far as David Burke. 30 metres from his own goal. It's a huge clearance down towards Joe Canning. Consternation when he gets it, and here's a goal chance. Here's an opportunity for Niall Burke. It's gone over the bar, and Anthony Nash, or has it gone for a 65 instead? No, it's a 65, not a point. Anthony Nash performs heroics here. Brilliantly done.
Yeah, I thought myself, Gerard, that it was gone over as well. It was very, very tight there, but a great save, and if Niall Burke had just taken another step, he might have finished the game right. But that's the thing, Galway are only playing 2 or 3 forwards up now, and they're consolidating 2 or 3 players in front of their half back line, and they're walking the ball forward, and Cork find it very difficult to contain that type of play.
Yeah, leaving 2 players forward, but what 2 players? Joe Canning and Damien Hayes, lethal. Canning with this 65 and unerringly straight over the bar, and he's got another one. 10 points for Joe Canning out of a tally of 17 for Galway, and they now open up a 4-point gap against Cork. Brilliant performance by Joe Canning on the day, and the Galway fans now raising the decibel level somewhat, and they win the ball back again through David Burke. And back in towards Damien Hayes. Lots of Cork backs there this time. One of them is Shane O'Neill. Slipped back outside here and cleared by Stephen MacDonald. Big one up here, but Galway seem to have men over. One of them is Niall Donoghue. Across here, this one is won by Tom Kenny. Winning his duel here with James O'Regan. Playing in here towards the new man, who is Stephen Moylan. And that's cut out there by Johnny Cohen, very near the end line. Did well, went after it himself. Neat play, very good play. Back out as far as Niall Donoghue. Galway much, much better in the second half. But that loose clearance is picked up here by Lochlan McLaughlin. Now Tom Kenny once again. Back once more towards Darren Sweetenham. Sweetenham having a go himself. Has he got it? It comes off the post and it goes over the bar. Good point by the young player from Dohenys. And now it's 17 points to 14, 3 between them again.
And that's the first bit of combined play that we saw from Cork. Nice quick short ball, put the player in possession in space, and he was able to turn and knock it over the bar. But Cork 3 points down now, and they're treading water a little bit around the middle of the field.
Davy Glennon comes on in place of Conor Cooney. So one young player for another.
Yeah, this guy has a bit of pace too, Gerard, now for goal. If he gets any chance, he's a very good finisher, and he's gone straight out to the half forward line. So they really have Joe Canning inside at the edge of the square, nobody else inside the 45-metre line.
And Niall McCarthy will be on in a while. Meanwhile, Damien Hayes jumps for joy. He got just enough room in which to swing the stick and put it over for his 3rd point. And now Galway much more assertive, much more dominant in areas of the park where it matters. And Hayes and Canning are really turning on the style. So a 4th change being made by Cork, and on comes the experienced Niall McCarthy. It's his 50th time to play in the championship, and he comes on in place of Jamie Coughlin. Great catch, brilliantly taken by Park Ronan. That's his strong suit. On here as far as Darren Sweetenham. Got the last one, but this one is going to the right. Might have tried to play it in. He had some support players inside, in particular Stephen Moylan, waiting for the ball to come his way, but that was a great catch.
Well, that's why Patrick Tone has been put into the half forward line to try and win a few puck outs, because the way Galway are playing now, they have only 1 or 2 players inside the 45-metre line. The rest are around the middle of the field, which means Ira Tanyan and Andy Smith can drop back down into the half back line and block up the way to goal.
It's advantage Galway with about 15 minutes still to go in this All-Ireland semi-final. They're bidding to get back into the final for the first time in 7 years. Free to Cork. It'll be taken by Anthony Nash.
Well, Patrick Cronin now should be put in the edge of the square, and maybe Paddy Sullivan next to him, so that if any break comes, right, that Cork might force a goal.
Nash can hit them a fair old distance, and this is going to drop down dangerously from a Galway point of view, and Cronin got it, and he puts it over the crossbar. It was very dangerous from Galway's point of view. This was a huge one into Park Cronin. Got a goal and 3 here in Croke Park the last time he played here in the league against Dublin. He's a dangerous forward. He's brilliant in the air. Big, strong man, Patrick Cronin.
He probably needed Paddy Sullivan or some other Patrick Horgan coming fast off his shoulder. That could have gone through and knocked it into net, but a good score nonetheless.
Fergal Moore from that short puck out. Big one down towards Davy Glennon, the substitute. Niall Burke couldn't get to it. Still chases after it. His namesake David gets it. Lovely little snapshot, but he's put it wide. He thought it was gone over. 2 points for David Burke, 2 for Niall Burke as well. Nash ready to take the puck out in the 57th minute with 3 points between these teams. Who's to make it to Croke Park on the day of the All-Ireland Hurling Final 2012? This is Pat Horgan. Back out here towards Naughton. First time he's got a chance to get involved, and he puts it right over the bar. That's an involvement for you. Well, they say he's at his best when he comes off the bench, when the match has settled down, and he has that chance to go and run at defenders when they're tired. He's as fresh as ever, and now 2 between them.
Yeah, and Patrick Horgan out for Cork has dropped out a little bit into the half-hour line, trying to create a bit of space, and by him being out there, he was able to put the ball straight into Colin Naughton, and a good point.
Well, there's no stopping Big Joe Canning, however. Big, huge one in towards Davy Glennon this time. Bounces off the hands there of Shane O'Neill. Good covering there by Sean O'Halpine, just as Galway were trying to play for a goal that time. It comes out as far as Owen Cadigan. He's swung around there by an over-eager Davy Glennon, and it's got to be a free out for Cork.
Well, he'll be delighted with that free, Gerard. There's nothing more a defender likes than to be fouled when you're under a bit of pressure. No need to foul him by Davy Glennon, but we say any hand up around the shoulder and neck, that's going to be a free straight away.
This free is up towards Cronin once again. This time it's batted out. This time it comes to Johnny Cohen, and away in the end through Iarla Tannion. Back down, poor clearance, straight here to the right half back, Tom Kenny. Experienced performer, Tom. Down there, but it's cut out well. And Fergal Moore this time is fouled by Niall McCarthy. Cork's 4th sub to be introduced by the Cork management. So it's a free out for Galway, and they'll be glad of the respite at this stage. Just 2 points in front, 12 minutes to go.
Yeah, a little mistake there by Tom Kenny. Plenty of time. He could have picked up Niall McCarthy 30 yards ahead of him, hit it over his head, and great interception there by Fergal Moore, and that builds the confidence of the defence.
And Cyril Donlan will be coming on in a few moments' time as Tony O'Gregan hits this free. He goes for it, but it's stopped by Anthony Nash. Good goalkeeping. He's had a very good championship. Huge one up the field. Oh, Niall McCarthy should have taken it. Instead it bounces to Fergal Moore, and Moore tries to get away from his man Stephen Moylan. Does well. Drop hits it, eventually forward as far as James Regan. Tries to get it up into his grasp. He does so. Gets away from 2 Cork defenders. Regan goes on the solo now. Kenny's after him. They can't catch him, and Regan puts it over the bar. 2 points for James Regan, the 21-year-old from St. Thomas's, playing in his 6th championship match, and it's 19 points to 16.
Great run there by the youngster, and you see it here, he dummies the strike first and then just strikes it over, avoiding the hook, and that was a great point. Inspirational score by James Regan.
Well, this is a good sight to be able to see Cyril Donlan ready to come on in just a few moments' time, and they're also preparing to bring in Johnny Glynn, a big, tall 19-year-old who's made a big impression this season. Iarla Tannion playing this one across. Lost there by Shane O'Neill. Coming across to cover is Owen Cadigan. Cadigan about to be challenged by Davy Glennon. This time he doesn't foul Cadigan, and Cadigan hits it a long distance, 20 metres out from the Galway goal. Swept out there well by Fergal Moore. Back out as far as Andy Smith. Challenged by Niall McCarthy. Smith again stands his ground, fires it away down, but into Cork territory where there's absolutely nobody there, and coming out to collect it is Anthony Nash. Nash inside his own 20-metre line, fires it back towards the Galway goal. 10 minutes to go. It's dropped by a Galway defender. It's won back by Johnny Cohen after Fergal Moore had lost it, and out into the centre here as far as Andy Smith. Smith back as far as Iarla Tannion, his midfield ally. Back towards the Cork 20-metre line. Up there towards the full forward. This time it's Niall Burke who slipped inside to full forward. Trying to win this one is Tom Kenny, and the referee is stepping in to throw the ball in. Let's go down to the sideline, get an update from Joanne Cantwell.
Well, Cyril Donlan should already have been on the pitch, because the fourth official was literally put up the board a moment ago, but then James Regan scored that point, and half the management team for Galway ran over to try to stop them putting it up after seeing that point from James Regan.
Thanks, Joanne. He'll get his chance in just a moment. Irlatanyan's got his chance now, and steps away from the tackle and puts the ball wide. That is Galway's 10th wide, but they are winning this match by 19 points to 16, and we're down to 9 minutes from the finish. An intense battle. Sean O'Halpine fouled this time by Andy Smith, and O'Halpine's going to leave this one for his goalkeeper Anthony Nash to hit, and they'll try and replicate what they did a little while ago and play it up towards Patrick Cronin, I'm sure. There's Cyril Donlan coming in, and the player going off is going to be James Regan. Big cheer. So will that freshen up and energise the Galway forward line at a critical stage of this match? Here comes Nash. It's very long. It's going all the way. It's gone over the bar. First point of the match for Anthony Nash, but it's his, It's 1 goal and 4 points in this year's championship. He's having some year.
Well, Ger, 2 points in it now, and I think a goal will decide the game for anybody. If Cork can get one, or if Galway can get one. Galway probably look the more likely, but I think Cork, if they want to walk through scores, they have to walk the ball a bit shorter. They've gone into now to lashing the ball down the field, as Galway are doing as well, and I think any little degree of control, and once one player gets it and runs out of defence, it could be curtains for either.
Both teams are having to work hard for their victory, which is as it should be in an All-Ireland semi-final. And the referee again blows his whistle. 63 minutes virtually gone. Galway having the advantage. 2 points in front. Damien Hayes somehow held on to it. Glue on the fingers, but he managed to hold it. Release it outside here as far as Andy Smith. And there's a Portumna combination for you. And beautifully over the bar by Andy Smith. And the 29-year-old has given Galway a 3-point lead.
Yeah, it came from the work rate of Damien Hayes there. Both players collided first, but Damien Hayes managed to hold onto the ball. Beautiful, astute little flick then to Andy Hayes. Andy Smith, his Portumna clubmate, and Andy Smith, not a noted point scorer, but a beautiful point there to put him 3 points ahead again.
Anthony Nash belts it out again. Stephen Moylan tries to get there first. Niall Donoghue, he's had a great match. Out here as far as Joe Canning. He can play anywhere. And as I say it, he's lost it, and he's lost it to fleet-footed Cathal Naughton. Has to go back. Belts it forward. Donoghue reads it again. Takes it superbly. Brilliantly done. Back down again, just keeping the pressure off his own defence. And Cork having to work hard just to get primary possession around midfield. They've got it now with Sweetenham. Look at the number of Galway backs there against Patrick Cronin. Waiting for it was Johnny Cohen in the yellow helmet, waiting to try and get it out, and it eventually comes to Cronin, has the possession, trying to lay it up outside for MacDonald. Stephen MacDonald, notionally the fullback, but he plays out the field for the Glen, and this time he's left it behind, and it's Fergal Moore, the 30-year-old from Templemore, or Turlockmore I should say, back out as far as Damien Hayes. Out into the middle, taken here by Sean O'Halpine, challenge tie, free to Cork. 6 minutes left. 20 points to 17. Galway with the advantage. Some battle.
Well, great passages of play, and you couldn't fault any of the players in view, Jared. Everybody, they're putting their heart and soul into it, both Galway and Cork. And Cork managing to stay just a little bit in touch. 3 points in it again now, and it is important for Cork that they don't concede anything else and leave it 4 points, because that might be insurance for Galway. But bit by bit, Cork have chances, but they still have to walk the ball in rather than hitting long ball.
So Anthony Nash about to hit it. He's got one already, and he's put this one wide. I think I've often heard you say in the past, Donald, whatever you do, don't put it wide.
Well, that's the thing, Jared. That'll be a real downer for the forward line. They'd have been expecting either the ball to drop in and take your chances, or a point, and a wide is the worst scenario that you can have there. And you can hear the crowd now lifting Galway, because 5 minutes left. They feel 3 points up, one big score, and it's all over.
So who's going to get that one big score? Shane O'Neill. dropping it in there. It's intended for Niall McCarthy, but Tony O'Gregan goes back. He's left it there. McCarthy, and he's put it wide. There was a chance. 2 opportunities now for Cork in their last 2 attacks to have got scores, but as it happens, they are still 3 adrift.
Yeah, well, from the body language you could see that he was unsure about taking the shot, and he might have been better off if he had knocked the ball across the park. Cronin, who was backing off into a bit of space, and that's 2 wides now in a row for Cork, and if they had got either of those, it would have been 2 points in it.
22 is Johnny Glynn coming in here, only 19 years of age, and the player going off is Niall Burke. So a very, very good substitute to be able to bring in at this stage. He came in as well, I remember, against Dublin in those relegation league matches.
And he came in the last against Kilkenny, was very, very effective, caught a few nice balls and worked them off very well.
MacDonald tried to get to it. It's Johnny Glynn instead. Back out here as far as Davian Hayes. Nicely down as far as Andy Smith. He's got 1 already. He probably feels confident. Thought he might have done a little bit better with that one. He's missed the opportunity, and there are still 3.5 minutes of the 70 to be played. 3 points the margin. Darren Sweetman for Cork, operating around right half forward at this stage. Slips it in field here. As Paddy O'Sullivan got 3 points in the first half, nothing in the second so far. Up towards Patrick Cronin. Cronin trying to turn, looking for space, looking to lay it off here to a colleague. Horgan's around, couldn't take it. Instead it is Johnny Cohen, and Johnny Cohen, who's had a much better second half, knocks it away out of danger, and there's an injury to one of the... There's a yellow card. That's the first yellow card to be flashed by the referee. It's to Paddy O'Sullivan, an injury to one of the Galway backs.
I actually didn't see it, Gerard. I was following the ball.
It may have been Irletanian even.
Possibly late tackle maybe, I'm not quite sure. Paddy O'Sullivan was adamant that he hadn't done anything much wrong, but referee very quick to flash the yellow card, so obviously he saw a late tackle coming in.
It's Joe Canning, in fact. It's Joe Canning who's gone way up into midfield. He's the player who is injured. We might just see this again here. Have a look at top right.
Just attempting the block down there, right? I mean, probably came across. Joe Canning gone down injured, and the referee was there, saw it, and yellow card for Paddy Sullivan. Maybe a slap across the forearm there. As you can see, he's getting from Dr. Dan Murphy there, just giving him a bit of a spray.
Lockhart McLaughlin comes off, Daniel Carney comes on. Daniel is number 23, and he is the 5th and final sub. Now it's a slap onto that. That's the reason why the referee gave the yellow card to Paddy O'Sullivan.
Yeah,
question of mistiming.
That's quite correct, though. Once that tackle is made, it's, you know, they're dangerous tackles when they're a bit late, and I don't think that Paddy Sullivan was coming across there was any malice involved, but you know, referee quite correct to give him the
and let us say
card
as well, Donald, it's the only yellow card issued in this game.
Well, it's been very, very clean so far, Joe. Great heart from both sides. Everybody trying to play hurling, and you know, there hasn't been any little argy-bargy in it at all.
Joe Canning's come way out, recovered from that knock. He's got 10 points so far. Now can he finish here? I think he can. He looks to be on his way to an All-Ireland final on the 9th of September against either Kilkenny or Tipperary. A minute of the 70 to go, and it's Galway by 4. Johnny Glynn asking an awful lot of Cork at this stage to bridge the gap. Still possible, but it's Galway who are looking the more threatening, as they have done for much of this second half. Cork have contributed 6 points to their half-time tally during the second half. That's disappointing, while Galway have got 10. This line ball is going to be taken by Joe Canning. At least 3 minutes of added time got to be played as Canning hits it in, and he's hit it left, and he's missed the opportunity of at least keeping it in play. So 3 minutes to be added on now. 3 minutes between Anthony Cunningham, his backroom team, his squad of players, and an All-Ireland final appearance. Their first since 2005 when they were beaten by Cork. Niall Donoghue plays it back out into the centre. It bounces around there. Cork have plenty of defenders. Owen Cadigan challenged. Little hand pass out as far as Tom Kenny. delivered towards Cahill-Nocta, but it's cut out there by Irla Tanyan. Darren Sweetnam having some work to do. Tanyan beats him. Back in there towards Davy Glennon, beats the attempted block, runs all the way through her goalkeeper, Anthony Nash. And Nash to counter-attack. It's a huge one. Cork probably needing a goal. Runs on. Stopped there by Johnny Cohen. And Johnny Cohen was fouled. And it's going to be a free out for Galway. And the Galway fans, judging by their reaction behind the goal on the right-hand side, probably feel it's almost as good as getting a score themselves. A free out to take more pressure off their defence, and a minute of the 3 already elapsed.
Yeah, Gerald Cork, just hitting in, Hail Mary balls now, and the Galway defence has coped adequately with those all afternoon, particularly the second half. I think that Johnny Cohen has been good, and Fergal Moore has been very, very good back there in the second half, and they've tightened things up considerably from the first.
Both teams have made wonderful progress during the year. One of them is going to get to the final. It's odds on Galway, and it's Damien Hayes. He scored a goal in the last final in 2005, lost that day, hoping to win in 2012. He's got 4 points in this semi-final, and the Galway fans are jumping for joy, and they lead 22 points to 17. Taken down by Tony O'Gregan, and now they are absolutely masterful in most areas of the field. That ball hit in behind Tom Kenny, in there towards Davy Glennon, and Glennon whips it away and in towards Hill 16. A missed opportunity. For the record, it's 13 wides, a minute of added time still to be played. Cork pocket out, intended for Sweetnam, tapped down by Irla Tanyan, hit away by David Burke. Burke's got a cramp, play continues. Cork looking for the ball and looking for a minor miracle, maybe a major miracle at this stage. And back out towards Joe Canning it comes, and Joe Canning drives it away. Doesn't matter at this stage, he's not particularly perturbed. He felt it went over the bar, by the way. Still arguing the point. He's got 11 out of Galway's tally of 22, and the puck out's been taken, and it's driven away down towards Daniel Carney, the SARS man, young player of the future. He's got possession here, impishly trying to carry it into space towards Paddy O'Sullivan. They play it across here. It's a great block there as Horgan was hitting it. Moylan across once again. Darren Sweetnam, you'd swear there was 1 point in it, and that ball has been driven wide. And the 3 minutes of added time has now been played, and Anthony Cunningham has done an absolutely wonderful job. He's taken his team to an All-Ireland hurling final as the referee waits for the next puck out, and then at the whistle. It's been Galway, it is Galway, and they have won this All-Ireland semi-final. They have beaten Cork at Croke Park. And what a day for Anthony Cunningham. There may be a bigger day to come. Leinster champions 5 weeks ago. Now they have lowered the colours of Cork and JBM, an emerging team. But it is Galway who return to the All-Ireland final on the big day itself for the first time in 7 years. In 2005 it was disappointment when Cork beat them that day. Can 2012 be their year? They've built a wonderful squad, and in Joe Canning they have some leader. 11 points today, and they're seeking to bridge a gap, of course, on the 9th of September, a gap of some 24 years, Donald.
Yeah, well, Ger, they just had too much for Cork, and I think their defence was absolutely fantastic in the second half, particularly with all through, and their full back line was looked upon as the weakest spot, but I thought they were excellent. Fergal Moore and Johnny Cohen in the corners I thought were excellent, and they built from the back. Joe Canning topped over the points from frees, and I must say that this is the way to win semi-finals, not unimpressively, and you slip into the final. Semi-finals are all about just getting there, and they'll be delighted with that, because they've been worried about that their great performance against Kilkenny. They'll be worried that there was a banana skin coming up here, but thoroughly deserved by Galway.
On the full-time score, it's Galway 22 points, Cork 17. Michael.
In the commentary box, Ger Canning and Donal O'Grady. So Galway then are through to the 2012 All-Ireland Senior Hurling Final, where they will meet the winners of next week's other semi-final between Tipperary and Kilkenny. Liam Sheedy, Ger Loughnane and Eddie Brennan here with me in our studio. Ger Loughnane, at half-time you said the scores were level. This would define this Galway team. If they were going to progress, they would have to step up to the mark. Did they?
But did they step up to the mark in that second half? They just totally took over. I'm sure Anthony Cunningham laid down the law in the dressing room there. Half back line, kept their positions in the half-back line. They had 3 midfielders just outside them. They closed down every attack, won every puck out. But it was their attitude. That's what you judge by most. They tore into the very same... They played in the second half like they played in the first half against Kilkenny. It was just magnificent. And any ball that broke behind... It wasn't just the older fellas that gave the leadership. Fellas like Johnny Cohen and Niall Dunno. They were absolutely magnificent in defence. Fielders, Tanyan and Smith came into the game. And after that... Now, one thing that went wrong kind of in the end was they played with no full forward line.
Yeah.
You know, and if they kept Joe inside, they were playing Joe like way out the field. They could have even won by more. But for now, they passed the real acid test. And let no more talk be about not being able to put 2 big victories in a row. This was a massive victory because of the fact that they were really, really tested. And when the crunch came, they stood up and they won the game. And that'll stand to them, not alone for this year, but while that team is there.
Yeah. Eddie?
Yeah, that was it. You know, we spoke about it at half time. That was the big test, and I suppose in the first half they were a little bit anxious, a little bit on edge, but in the second half I think they just went back to basics and just said, look, just go out, throw off the shackles and hurl, and that's what they done. They fought hard for every ball, and I think in the second half I suppose ultimately we looked at the entire Cork half forward line was taken off and they won no puck outs. They won none of their own puck outs, and that was, you know, Pat Cronin is the only real man that can win a high ball, and they placed him on the edge of the square. But I suppose Galway, they left the door open for Cork for a long time. You know, we spotted in the second half they were pumping balls into the corner and there was nobody home. There was 3 Cork defenders.
Well, it was kind of like I think it was Ger, you said it was cat and mouse in the second half, and it was kind of fascinating to watch Liam Sheedy, because Galway were winning most of the possession, but as Ger said, they were driving it up. They were trying to play with Cork a little bit, driving it up to where there weren't men.
Yeah, but they were. But if you go back to when Galway had Joe Canning in, and he had the whole side of the field all to himself. But the half-backs and midfielders for Galway were putting the ball down across into Joe's corner. They were sending in ball with purpose. Now, what I've seen from Cork in the second half, the ball was being rained up. You're asking men like Paddy O'Sullivan and Luke O'Farrell to jump up into the sky. That's not their game. You need to be finding grass. You've seen in the first half, Paddy O'Sullivan, no ball in, catch, turn, point. In the second half, I thought they lost their structure. They weren't sending in quality ball, and like 6 points is a very, very poor return. And I think, you know, in fairness, you know, Galway deserved their victory over the course of the 70 minutes. But again, Galway have loads to work on. You know, they won't be over happy. I mean, they did 14 wides today. You know, they need to be a lot more sharper than that if they're going to win in All Ireland. But it's a giant step forward for them today to win that match by 5 points.
Look, Ger, it took an effort all around the pitch for Galway to win. There's no question about that. 1 or 2 of their defenders were exceptionally good, but you once again you find yourself focusing back on Joe Canning.
You have to, sure. Like, he's the man, like, you know, and even though he was out of the game for time, every time he gets the ball, look at the control he has here, you know, and not alone that, but his work rate, his aggression, and you know, he's not going to cross the ball. He takes them on again, you know. What they have done with Joe to get him into this physical shape, so that he's able to do this, and he was just unlucky that the ball went that fraction too far. But look at his scoring from play and from frees, and you know, I suppose we're a bit critical about him not using him close to the goals, but you know, when he is close to goal there, not alone does he score himself, but all the breaks he lays on for others, you know. Now here's our man here, Johnny Cohen. What a man! Like, look at how good he is on his feet. Not alone his skill, but a great test of a hurler is how fast he is on his field and his balance. And they started picking off these points from way out the field. Hayes was doing it, Niall Burke did it, and then Joe did it towards the end. They have great forwards, you know. But
this was the icing on the cake from Canning's point of view at the finish
I
up.
suppose about 15 minutes out, really, when the match was there to be won, Galway reeled off 3 points in the spin, and that was, you know, I suppose in Dossie rules they look at it as with that is the championship time, and with that time left in the match, that's when matches are ultimately won and lost, and Galway really went to work at that stage.
They also got one very important point, Liam Sheedy, from James Regan. Now this is a good point for Galway and a good point for James, because he was getting the purple finger at the stage.
I think his number was up, the curly finger was out for him, but my God, I'll tell you what a great score. But you know, again, everything is built from their defence. You know, Fergal Moore lets in a ground ball, and like, he's a lot to do when he gets this ball here. You know, there's a good few red jerseys around, but he uses his pace to great effect, and you know, steps in, and the whole thing opens up in front of him. And, you know, off his hurley. I mean, that's an absolute top class score by James O'Regan, and there was a mad rush to the fourth official, say, take down the board, he's not gone yet.
But you know, they have beautiful skill, Galway. Which what they've added to that now is fantastic work rate, great aggression, which they didn't have maybe since the 80s even, the kind of aggression they have since the 80s, and they have real match winners above in the forwards, you know, and their backs have tightened up. And you know, this system of playing 3 in front of your half-back line is working really, really well for them, because all the half-back line have to do then is break the ball down, and they picked up all those breaks at midfield.
There's always a man coming looking for it.
Exactly. There's always a man coming for the break, and they can score from far out. Cork couldn't score today from far out.
Yeah.
You know, they can score from 50 and 60 yards out, and they're the scores that break the heart on the opposition.
Lance, much as I would like to talk about this for a long time more for this evening, that I'm afraid is where we're going to have to leave it on the Sunday game for now. Liam Sheedy, Ger Loughnane and Eddie Brennan have been here with me in studio for our first class hurling action, gentlemen. Many thanks indeed for that, and of course thanks indeed to you for watching as well this afternoon. Now, Take Your Point is coming up at 6 o'clock on RTE Radio 1. The Sunday game is past 7 over on RTE 2 later this evening. But for now, from all of us here, take care and we'll see you soon.
Centra, sponsors of the GAA Hurling Championship.
I've got my ticket in hand, I've got my new master plan, so what more could I need? And now I live here, and now I live here.
When it's time for your next move, rely on daft.ie.
Nail fungus is a common and contagious disease that causes unsightly, discoloured nails. Now there is Naillock for treating nail problems caused by nail fungus. Naillock is quick and easy to apply and gives fast, visible results. Naillock for healthy nails.
Searching for a really fun place to get away from it all. Well, good news. You're already there.
Now nobody does TV like UPC. Only UPC has the fibre power to deliver true on TV, with the best TV series and box sets from the US, BBC and ITV, plus the RTE player and 3-player on your TV. All for free with UPC TV. And there's loads more.
This is the TV you love with On Demand, and it's only from UPC. With 25 meg fibre power broadband, that's still 3 times faster, and great value home phone. For less than you pay Sky and Aircom, guaranteed. Just €66 a month. Sign up online at upc.ie and pay only €33 a month for 4 months.
Super Value have all you need for back to school.
Love is in the air when a message in a bottle brings 2 unlikely souls together in our movie tonight at 9:30. But now in one, Kilnascully finds its voice with the advent of community radio.
Morning, Bridie.
Morning, ladies. For feck's sake, it's the third time this week.
You're listening to KRAP, the